All right, so let's just jump right into our first topic this week, and that is Republicans and how they're dumb. We cover this topic a lot on this show, but the specific instance here. So there's this, common criticism that people on the left launch at Republicans, and it's that they are an opposition party that doesn't know how to govern. They are constantly trying to stop things from happening, but they really aren't very competent, and they're pretty darn competent at that. And they're pretty darn competent at getting tax cuts. Other than that, there's not too much they're competent at, including just general leadership and governance. And don't take my word for it. This is coming directly from congressional Republicans. If you guys have been following the GOP House at all, which, first of all, I apologize if you've been doing that. It's pretty rough. But it has been kind of a mess. They, as you probably know, Kevin McCarthy used to be the speaker. He got ousted by the right-wing contingent, the Freedom Caucus, as they call themselves, headed by the likes of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz, or Gaetz, or however you pronounce that pedophile's name. But the controversy happening now is that Marjorie Taylor Greene is pushing to do the same thing to current Speaker Mike Johnson. And she's doing it over the Ukraine funding. She doesn't want to send any more funding to Ukraine, and is saying that if the Republicans do that, she will set forward a motion to remove Mike Johnson from his speakership position. The interesting thing about this is that, as I mentioned, all of the Republicans are basically just admitting that no one can do the job. I'll put this on the screen here, the quotes from the Republican Party, which are just absolutely wonderful.
These should be good.
It's incredible. This is an article from Axios that we have up here now. But I love this one. I don't see who can do a better job. I don't see who could get the votes needed to become speaker and then effectively lead, says Republican Mark Alford, saying that
love it.
Johnson would be a fool's errand. And we have Troy Nell saying he's not in favor of getting rid of Johnson because nobody wants the job. Who wants the job, and who could even do the job? And and as Johnson said, it would be almost a hopeless position. So we basically have House Republicans just admitting the thing we've been accusing them of, right? Like, they're just admitting that they don't know how to lead, don't know how to govern, and yet they're still a major party in this country. It is kind of mind-blowing. How do you guys think, TJ, if you're like just a standard milquetoast Republican, what do you think about this right now? Are you like, I'm upset with my leadership, or are you not care?
So the first thing I want to address that, if I were a standard milquetoast Republican, is that is a dwindling set of people. It's almost impossible to be just like a standard boring ass Republican who's only interested in, tax cuts and just, moderate social shit. Those people don't really exist anymore. Everyone's been supercharged into this, weird QAnon type of Republican, and the constituency is being reflected in the House and the Senate and in state houses across the country, and most importantly in judges and in district courts and the Supreme Court in the United States. So these people are upset, though. And like other Republicans, they are old as fuck. But I wanted to point out a few of them is first, you mentioned Kevin McCarthy, and Kevin McCarthy throwing around, it's like, well, the only reason I was removed from my job is because, there was someone in the Republican Congress.
I'm not going to say who. It could be anyone.
TJ, you took my point. I wanted to laugh about that for 5 minutes.
Go for it.
No.
Right, you're our guest, Ryan. Please explain to our audience why Kevin McCarthy is that.
So Matt Gaetz, it's almost like a rap beef level of like nodding towards who it is, but I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'm just going to describe the situation as explicitly as possible. So it was a congressman on the right flank that got accused of an assault charge or something like that with a minor that was 17 or not. maybe. And yep, definitely a man in the right flank. And it's like there's only 3 of them, like, and we know the one that you're talking about. So it was him, right? It was Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz got accused of all of this.
I will give this to the Republican Party. I'm proud of them that narrowed it down enough for us to be able
Oh yeah,
to
true.
who it was.
Yeah,
That's not always the
Good
case.
point. Good point.
Yeah.
Specific.
And what happened was that apparently the ethics committee was coming around to do their interviews to, I guess, understand whether or not that he should be censured or taken out or whatever was going to happen to him. And Matt Gaetz had asked, allegedly asked Kevin McCarthy to make that go away. And he said that he wasn't going to make that go away, and then they made him go away. So that is the allegation here, which I don't know. They're petty. Like this feels like exactly what would happen, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying she's not just saying that she's going to call for a vote if they vote for the Ukraine aid. She's saying if he even brings it to a vote, not if it passes, but if he even brings it to a vote, if he even begins to talk about it, then they said that she's gonna try to bring it to a vote. But honestly, I think, and I kind of want your guys' opinion on it. I honestly think that if it did happen, I think the Democrats would save them. I kind of
really.
I kind of think that they would.
Before I came on the show, I was watching a clip from Kevin McCarthy speaking on C-SPAN, and it cut off before he explained why. But he said that he thought the Democrats would save Mike Johnson too, and I really wish it didn't cut off, and I could not find what he said. But I do think there are suspicions that the Democrats would save Mike Johnson, although I really can't even imagine why they would do it. The deal that Mike Johnson would have to cut them would have to be immense.
That's why. That's why, because I think that they would rather have an inside man in their pocket than their own that gets blocked at every turn.
Yeah.
So you keep a patsy Republican up there that the Republicans are going to look, they're going to look stupid if they don't go along with him. They're going to be breaking code, because Republicans fall in line, Democrats fall in love, that whole thing. So keep a Republican that the Democrats can keep under their thumb the entire time in there. I think that they would, because he's only bringing this up because the Democrats are asking him to bring up the Ukraine aid. He's been blocking it, and then he's finally like, well, you know what, maybe. Now that I have the position, I think what happened was when he got the position and saw what he had to do, he was like, "Oh shit!"
Yes,
that is
1,000% what happened. Yeah, that's 1,000% what happened. Is that Republicans are children, they see their parents spending their money on, bread and milk and, the lunch meat. And like, why can't you just buy ice cream and video games? And then the Republicans get in charge. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Like this, like there's a system that has to work. Government has to function. I know that we've spent our entire livelihood, our whole life just saying that government shouldn't exist and that, we're here to obstruct at every turn. But turns out real life isn't like that. And Kevin McCarthy, that was, I'm so glad, Brian, you thought that up too, because Kevin was so funny watching him say that. I think he even brought up the fact that this mystery man, that he had a buddy who also went to jail for assaulting a minor. Like, I think he brought that up too. Yeah, I was like, okay, in case you guys weren't sure who we were talking about so far, it's definitely Matt Gaetz. And one thing I think the problem with Mike Johnson is that I thought of this just now, is that Republicans have a long storied history of weird named people. Like you had like Newt Gingrich, and you have Mitt Romney and Reince Priebus. So like people who have names like they belong in like a Star Wars movie or something like really, really bizarre names. And then you got Mike Johnson. Like, buddy, you're not cut out for the job. Your name isn't weird enough. But I want to share this, because we were talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. So before you hopped on, Ryan, John and I were talking about, I don't even actually remember what you said, John, but you were talking about just asking questions. You say something about that?
Yeah. I'm just asking the type of people. They're not right wing, they're just asking questions.
Completely.
All right, so yeah, just asking questions. So I have Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm about to share her on the stage here, and she does just a master class, like just a gold medal Hall of Fame, just asking questions thing at the end of this speech where she's tearing down Mike Johnson. I'm going to check it out.
Completely changed his character in a matter of about 5 months after he has become Speaker of the House. Mike Johnson is a Christian. He called himself a conservative, always has been. He's a Republican member, but yet here we are after the minibus was passed just almost 2 weeks ago in Washington. And now with the $60 billion going to a war in Ukraine that 70% of Americans do not support it. That's the most recent polling. 70% of Americans and the majority of Republicans do not support funding Ukraine. People want to see a peace deal in Ukraine, not murdering more Ukrainians and more Russians. This needs to end. But no, Mike Johnson has made a complete departure of who he is and what he stands for. And to the point where people are literally asking, is he blackmailed? What is wrong with him? Because he's completely disconnected with what we want.
Do you think he is being blackmailed?
I have no idea. I can't comprehend, Tucker, what radically changes a man. I mean, if we break down this and has completely changed his character.
I love it. I love that so much. She's like, listen, Mike Johnson was just like me, 6 months ago. Now he's in a position of power and he's doing all this responsible shit. You got to wonder, is he being blackmailed? And then Tucker Carlson, I think, was caught off guard by that because he was like, oh my God, is he? Do you think he's being blackmailed? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Why are you asking a little old me a question like that? So, this is
just asking questions.
Just exactly. I saw that. I was like, you've got to be shitting me. It's like once again, we've said it a dozen times this segment, but it is not a serious party. Like, these are not serious people, and just like it has been. It is to Joe Biden's undying shame that he isn't, crushing Trump by 30 points in every poll, that every Republican, any Republican, honestly, across the country, the polls are looking really bad for Republicans. A lot of them are losing by, 6-8 points in winnable districts. So it should be more, though, because you see this shit and it's like come on, like no one's going to really support this. So, like, no normal people are going to go out of their way, like get out of bed to vote for Republicans after seeing shit like this. Cause like they're not a serious party. And I enjoy laughing at them.
Ryan, we're pretty staunch on this show. We have a very, very firm opinion at this point about what we believe is going to happen over the next 6 months. And that is essentially that Biden is going to run a decently close race, but the more Trump gets his mouth in front of people and the more crimes he gets convicted of, the more impossible it's going to be for him to win.
And the more, we'll get to it later, but the more abortion stuff comes up.
And the more abortion stuff comes up, and we're going to be talking about the Arizona case a little bit later. But we're pretty staunch that there's no way Biden loses. And if he does, Trump is going to be the only Republican to win because Republicans are going to get smashed across the entire ballot on the abortion issue. That is our stance. What do you think about it? Are you similar, or do you think differently?
I think it's, I want to say, like, I want to believe that 1,000%, but I'm still like having like flashbacks of 2016 and I start shaking and my hands start to sweat and I'm like, oh no. I remember I was sitting in a bar and I was just watching the news and everybody just got quieter and sadder around me and it was a really bad time. So I never really put anything past people who vote for Trump. They vote for Trump for all the reasons that you think that are pejorative or not, and they seemingly love him. But I also think that Biden I've had this complete conspircy. Ooh. I have no evidence of this.
You come to like my friend.
I feel like a lot of the Democrats, especially the Fed Democrats, are almost losing on purpose. Like, I don't want to say they're losing on purpose, but they are missing softball pitches. Like, we'll talk about it in a second, but even just like the abortion thing. Somebody asked Biden a point blank question, softball. issue. Are you going to do something about this or take a stand on it? And he said, vote for me and you'll find out.
Oh,
Softball, man, come on, just say yes. Trump said yes, and that's the part that scares me. Is Trump flat out said, I will get rid of it when I'm president. That is the kind of thing that people that people, I mean, we knew the demographics of who votes for Trump, that are going to listen to and go, well, at least he said that he'll do it. And it's like, Biden, just please have a spot. Just do something. Just do something except for helping out your buddies. Just do anything.
It's like everyone has had this dream where like they either can't walk or can't move or can't talk, and like there's something terrible going on. They have to tell an authority figure. You gotta tell your mom about the aliens that are coming, but suddenly you can't talk anymore, and it's like terrifying. That's what I feel like watching the Democrats fight the Republicans. Like the Republicans are a bunch of children with wet pool noodles, and they can't even defeat them. It's insane that like these are the people who are leading the most powerful country on earth, and they're completely incompetent. And even the more competent side, you can't even argue is very competent because they're in competitive races with children. And they're children. They are acting like children. They are acting like a bunch of high schoolers. Like everyone recognizes. Like you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you're like, I know exactly who she was in high school. I would bet my entire life savings. I know exactly the kind of person she was in high school. She's that annoying woman at the homeowners association. Everyone hates her. Like everyone hates that woman except for that woman. And there's no way there's that much of that type of person in this country that she is fucking running it. It blows my mind. Like when there's certain types of people and you're like, how do you not flag that as immediately a bad person?
I do like that this is the type of person that's come to represent the Republicans though. And that's what's already is like Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, just like the most obnoxious people you can think of, whether you agree with them or not. It's like, I'll vote for Lauren Boebert. I would hate to like have her in my neighborhood. It would just be a complete train wreck every day. And to what both of you guys are talking about with Joe Biden, well, the example that Ryan brought up is saying, hey, this abortion issue is pretty important. Can you give us a strong statement on it? What gets me about this is that Joe Biden has been in politics for 60 years now. And he doesn't even have the goddamn decency to lie. I mean, like, that's half your job as a politician. I mean, it's the first thing you learn when you go to, Congress school or whatever. It's like, just fucking lie. Like, lie to get the votes and then do whatever you need to after you win. Like, you could still do that, Joe Biden. You could just lie and say, I'm going to do something. Oh, my hands are tied right now. Now, it's not going to fool us, but it's going to fool enough voters to help you get over the hump here. I don't know. That part that gets me too, because like they think
your opponent is going to run a fair campaign and isn't going to lie.
You're running against Donald Trump, man. And this actually goes back like 10 minutes when we first started here. But you guys are talking about we were talking about the ethics campaign, the ethics commission that was looking into Matt Gaetz. And it's always funny to me whenever a congressman is trying to weasel out of an ethics investigation and stuff, because congressmen, like, you know how bad you got to be for Congress to find you guilty of an ethics violation? Like, you really got to fuck up. Like, George Santos was the first congressman kicked out in like 100 years or something. And Bob Menendez was charged with corruption twice in the last 15 years. You've really got to go out of your way. So that's how you know Gaetz is guilty. I mean, that's how I assume that Gaetz is guilty.
Allegedly.
Over my head on that one right there. But yeah, it is a wild story watching the Republicans. I can't get enough of it. It's just a reality show that is actually important. That's the sad part, that it actually does, have some effect on our lives.
The thing you said there that I'll disagree with, TJ, is that why doesn't Biden just lie? And it's like he does lie all the time. And what we're going to talk about in our next video that'll come out tomorrow is how he manipulates those lies and is willing to lie about certain things, but for some reason isn't willing to lie about others. And newsflash, when he's lying for effect, it's usually to do something horrible. So stay tuned, like and subscribe so you know when that video comes out.